Want to make sure that your bike starts in the spring after winter storage? Well, winter is coming, and if you plan on just parking your bike and forgetting about it, you could be asking for problems next spring. So let's talk about some tips on winterizing your motorcycle so that when the next riding season starts, your bike will start. First, let's talk about the fuel. You can do this in either one of two ways. First, you can actually remove all the fuel from the bike, and that's simply that. Or you can go with the second method. Depending on what type of fuel you have in your bike, gas can go bad after a couple of months. And that could lead to clogged injectors or carbs if you have an older bike. So if you're not gonna be emptying your tank, make sure you go and fill up your tank full. Add in a stabilizer and let the bike run so it can actually cycle through the system. And I also recommend non-ethanol fuel for this. Actually, I recommend that for all the time, but just a recommendation. Next up, let's talk about the battery. Extreme cold can kill batteries if you just let them sit there. Either remove the battery from the bike and take it indoors, or hook it up to a battery tender so that way it stays charged through the whole winter time. And let's talk about that oil, or oil, depending on where you're from. Because old oil can trap contaminants that could corrode your engine over time. So it's a simple equation. Fresh oil is gonna equal a happy motor when you start it up next spring. Now we can't forget those tires. You know, depending on the temperature outside, our tire pressures will go up or they'll go down. Now in the winter time, those tires are gonna lose pressure. So make sure you go ahead and top those off. And if the bike is gonna be sitting for the entire duration of the winter, make sure you go ahead and put them up on some bike stands so that way you don't end up with flat spots on your tires when you come out to get ready to ride next season. Now let's talk about preventive maintenance and protection. I always recommend that you give your bike a good wash and waxing before you put it up for storage. And as far as preventive maintenance, while you're in the process of washing and waxing that bike, make sure you go and do a real thorough cleaning and lubrication of that chain. If it's gonna be sitting, you want it to be protected. And some people cover their bike while it's in storage for the winter. Now if you do that, make sure you use a breathable motorcycle cover, not just a regular tarp that has the potential to trap moisture in there. If possible, keep your bike stored in a garage, a shed, or a storage unit. And as a last resort, you might need to bring it in the house. And if you have to keep it outdoors, make sure that it's off the ground, covered, and secure. And keep it away from frequent freeze and thaw cycles. That's not good for it either. And your bonus tip, make sure you cover your exhaust opening. Things like rodents, spiders, bugs, and all of that like to go in there and create a habitat. And you don't want that when you go to fire up your bike next riding season. Winterizing your bike takes less than an hour, and it can save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars if you run into any problems come next riding season. So think about some of these winterizing tips so that you'll make sure that you'll be ready to ride during next riding season if you plan on putting your bike up for the winter. Now I know everybody isn't putting their bike up for the winter, but these are for the people that live in states where it snows consistently in the winter and there's a lot of ice on the ground. Not talking about you extremely warm states. And as always, ride safe, hit that follow for more content, keep the rubber side down, shiny side up. Peace.